having a wonderful guest here. Okay, thank you. So we are having a wonderful guest here, Dr. Sarfraz, and he's from Pakistan, Director Fast Campus there. And he's going to talk about the geospatial related information, very informative. I hope you will enjoy. Without wasting any further time, I'd like to request him to continue further. Thank you, sir. Please.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to talk about the research which we are conducting at our university. So today I am going to present the remote sensing and geospatial technologies for sustainable development because we are already, everyone is talking about the sustainable development goals. So how these type of technologies and tools are being used for achieving sustainable development goals. So first of all, let me introduce about myself. I'm working as a professor in computer science department at National University of Computer and Emerging Sciences, which is also known as a FAST. Basically, FAST is a Foundation for Advancement in Science and for Science and Technology. And under FAST Foundation, the university is established, that is National University of Computer and Emerging Sciences and Technology. And beside that, I'm having the administrative responsibilities of a director of one institute and heading and seeing overall affairs of a campus. And I remained visiting researcher at National Institute of Informatics in Tokyo, Japan. And I did my PhD from Asian Institute of Technology, Thailand on Higher Education Commission scholarship. So first I will talk about my institutes. It's only merit-oriented institute, and there is no quota system in our university. And the first choice for computer science is FAST, National University of Computer and Emerging Sciences for Pakistani graduates. And only we are quality conscious, and we never denied education because of any financial constraint. If any student do not have any financial support, the university 100% provide the financial support for the students, those get admission on merit, and no discrimination and inclusive culture. So we have students from different type of religions, including Hindu, Christian, and many others. So it's a diverse culture and diverse, and there is no discrimination of gender. And also we have enhancing infrastructure and faculty development rapidly, and we totally remained focused on providing the equal opportunities. And about myself, I was the winner of travel grant for ISPRS Foundation, and similarly for different type of events, even included the NASA award, which I won during 2013, and Best Research Conference Award. And similarly in Japan, ProsperNet Thesis Competition Award was given to me, and I remained HEC scholar for PhD. And similarly, I won the 4.8 million funding for research project through the HEC. And no, regarding the topic, I'm also heading and the director of Spatial Analytical Research Lab, and our focus is to provide solution to the real world problems and innovative research trends and contribute to the research community. And for further details, you can visit the links given on this slide. And this is the introduction about my team. So we have 3 PhD members, and the third one, Dr. Usman and Muhammad Usman, remained my PhD student, and they have completed their PhD under my supervision. And the other 2 are still in PhD, and they are the PhD scholars. So when we talk about the remote sensing and GIS, first I will So we will be focusing on digital earth regarding, as I told, we are working on the sustainable development. So we have developed some solution for health, agriculture, environment, society, and tourism. So today I will talk about these 3 applications which we have developed and published in these domains. So when we talk about the digital Earth applications, so digital Earth applications, remote sensing and GIS being widely used in agriculture for drought monitoring, pest control, land and soil analysis, planning for future food demand. And similarly, when we talk about the environment health, and it's a quality of life planning, resource management. So in short, if we say the digital Earth application is being used everywhere. And so I think there is when we talk about the remote sensing, the data is being captured and gathered through different type of satellites. In normal life, in normal images, we have three spectral bands, that is RGB. But when we take the data from satellites, it gives us multispectral and hyperspectral data. So you can say the invisible domain, which is normally not possible through the human eye. So for example, if I need to do image processing and I need to analyze the object, so I have only three domains, which is RGB. But when we go to the spectral domain, so we get a very detailed information like infrared, multispectral, near infrared, and you have a lot of domain knowledge, which is you can see from the invisible rise. So for example, in normal image, you can see just apple, but in hyperspectral, you can see if the apple is roasted or they have something more detailed information you can get through the hyperspectral images. I think these slides have some missing information, or maybe it's not. But anyway, I can continue with this one instead of. Okay, so first we try to find the health issues through vector-borne diseases through these remote sensing and GIS technologies. For example, during the thesis competition, the question was whether we can see the mosquito from the earth, from the space, or cannot. So it looks like very surprising how the mosquito can be seen through the satellite images. So is it possible to predict the mosquito from the satellite? But what we did, we said, yes, we can predict the mosquito from the satellites, but not directly, but indirectly through the channels. For example, the mosquito like to breed in the water. So of course, the water can be visible through the satellites. The mosquito like to grow or to remain in some specific type of vegetations. So that specific type of vegetation is possible to monitor through the satellites. So these were the phenomena. So we try to detect the different type of feature. You can say the favorable habitats where the mosquito would like to grow. So we try to detect and we try to predict the dengue fever, or there are different type of vector-borne diseases such as malaria, leishmania, and the vector, because it's a very huge disease burden in the tropical and subtropical region, and it's very difficult to cope because still there is no vaccination for the vector-borne diseases. So the only the possible way was to predict this disease through these type of technologies. So for this, we took different type of data from different satellites. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing that slide, maybe like it's showing here. I don't know why it stopped, or it's okay. Okay. So if we see, there are a lot of satellites moving around the earth and providing us a huge information of data. So for example, if you see this image is taken on 9/11/2024, so which gives only the NASA satellites missions, which is giving a huge information for the Earth monitoring. So similarly, if you see the Earth fleet or the debris of the Earth, so these all small dots are the satellites. Those are taking huge information of our Earth for different type of planning and observation. So it means a different type of satellites are giving a huge information and huge data. So we need to utilize these data. Now there are many different research perspectives. For example, how this data is being transferred to the Earth. So now you can understand this one single image contains a gigabyte of storage capacity, so which is being transferred from 100 kilometers or thousands kilometers to the Earth. And similarly, the storage capacity for storing these type of images, it's a huge. So there are different type of challenges, and more importantly, this data is being archived for multiple years. So for example, if you want to have a study for 3 decades, you want to see the trends of changing the forest for the urban ecology, from the water, for the drought, or for the urban patterns. So you can easily find these data sets, and more importantly, many of data is freely available and publicly available. And the most important is like it's give you the data of multispectral domain. So for example, on the other, you are getting the data through drones, or maybe simple drones, or through different simple cameras. You are getting the RGB images, but when you get this data from the satellites, you are getting a multispectral data from these data set. So if you have a interest in exploring these image processing techniques, you can have a wide variety with multiple archives data set, multiple years data. For example, you want to do analyze the Melbourne weather is changing, and what's the pattern, and in which season it's being changed. So you can download this data free of cost of last 10, 20, 30 years. So and you can make the analysis. And similarly, you are changing, you want to monitor and observe the traffic patterns, you want to monitor the urban ecology, the whole the sprawl of the main city is expanding, and where it is expanding, and what type of the shortages you are having, and what of the challenges you are having. And not only this, you can also have the planning for establishing your businesses. For example, okay, what is the next market where the people will have the more access, or transportation purpose where you have to need the rerouting the system, or drainage purposes. So it gives a different type of information, not only the image, it provides you the free weather forecasting data sets. For example, you need to get the temperature of 30 years for different days. You can download this data and you can simulate, you can develop your own models using this rainfall data, temperature data, humidity data, and even the soil moisture. You can get different type of soil moistures and the soil types from this data set. So it's just a brief overview, like you have a multiple satellites. There are few commercial satellites as well. So if you are having, you need to develop a very detailed model, maybe urban flooding, or urban household information. So then maybe you have to adopt the commercial satellites data set. But on the other hand, you can get freely available these satellites data set for your research purposes. So these are the basic elements how the remote sensing work. So basically, there are 2 or 3 types of sensors which provide you remotely sensed data. One is active sensors, and the others are passive sensors. So the active sensors need the sunlight to create the images. For example, like our eyes are the active sensors. So without this light, sunlight, or with this electricity tube light, we cannot see each other. So but the active sensors give you the information even without this natural energy. For example, if we have the cameras and we turn off all the lights, and still the infrared layers can detect the human movement during dark as well. So similarly, these type of sensors, there are different type of sensors, active sensors and passive sensors. And the passive sensors need the sunlight, and it gives and detect the different type of spectrum and record it, and then you can utilize that energy for your application. So the main beauty of, as I already told you, it also have the capacity to detect different type of surface features. For example, this the material, if it's made of wood, so when the light will be get back from this side, the radiation will be different type. So if it's made of iron, so it will get a different type of information. But a human eye maybe cannot detect. Sometime there is artificial grass, artificial plant, we get confused, either it's artificial or it's natural. But these sensors have the capacity to detect either it's artificial or what type of material it is. So this is the sense which the normal eyes cannot be explore or utilize. So it's similarly, the more sensors detailed you have, you get more detailed information. For example, like the woman have more detailed information about the color understanding. So the man have very few knowledge of the color understanding. They said, okay, this is red and this is green and this is blue. But when you ask to some female, no, it's not red, it's a purple, it's a grape color, or it's a magenta, it's not a same color, because they have more detailed understanding. So similarly, in multispectral or hyperspectral sensors, you have more detailed information for visualization or for extracting other information. So coming towards back, just it was a brief introduction. So this was the study we already told you, like we obtained different type of data sets through the weather satellites, through the humidity, through the vegetation, and we try to develop the forecasting of dengue habitat. So where there is a possibility the mosquito can grow and can damage to the other society. So this was the Punjab region, and we try to find the main hotspot where this can be. So this was the outcome of using different type of data sets through satellites. So all the data was gathered through the satellites. A few data set was gathered from the hospitals, where we just to calibrate our model, so where we can find the more dengue cases. And similarly, we also try to develop the web-based GIS system. So like when you are traveling abroad and you go somewhere, you just Google the weather situation or the traffic situation of that specific area. So we try to implement this system as well. Like just you search, enter your current location, and it gives you the possible threats of dengue in that location. So what is the current trend going on in that region? So if you see in specific area, when you search and you also apply the date filter, for example, the next 10 days, what will be the situation of malaria, dengue, in that case? So it actually, what it happen, it gets the real time weather forecasting data set, it gets the image data set, what type of vegetation and living patterns are there, and after that it gives the outcomes and gives the possibility of dengue fever in that specific area, and it plot the hot spots in that specific areas. So this was the overall different situation, and then we applied different type of machine learning algorithms to calibrate our models and to have more accuracy for this region. And then we spotted the more risk area in the red, and then the less area in other colors during that specific time. And similarly, like you see, like in different years, you can plot and predict in that specific area. So what's going to happen in this month during this time? And these were the few three publications which we made in this, and the two are the closed access journal and one is the open access journal. So we able to publish in these our finding in these well-reputed and Q1 journals regarding this study. So if you are more interested, and the presentation will be there, so you can have the more detailed information, how we collect this data, what type of satellites data we used, and what type of algorithms we used in calibrating these data sets. And another study we did through the drone. We have this drone facility at our lab. It gives a multispectral data set and gives near infrared and different type of vegetation index. So through these studies, our main objective was to predict the health, the crops health. So either it's growing well or there is some specific disease got by this crop, so that we can take early prediction or early measures to prevent or get better yields for these data sets. And again, this was the proposed methodology, and we used this data set using this drone, and we grow different type of corn and the maize field in our university, and the students cultivated this crop by themselves and try to capture the images through this drone at during multiple stages, and so that they can detect what type of issues are being faced or where we are getting our healthy vegetation. So again, we integrated this with computer vision and deep learning, and we use multispectral images through this drone data set, and we apply deep machine learning algorithms for uh, getting classification of different type of patterns and disease. And similarly, we did another study because we see a different type of weeds. Weeds are the extra or additional crops which damages the crop and takes too much water instead of the actual crop. They need the water, and but the extra water and the extra efforts being done by these weeds, and it's very difficult to monitor through the normal cameras or through the normal human eyes, especially when the crop grow up and the weeds are in the roots. But the remote sensing and this hyperspectral remote sensing images can detect up to the root level and give you the more accurate information. And we did the studies, and we found these weeds through these multispectral images, and we try to classify and detect using this technology. And another study, we were facing the high pollution in our different polluted big cities like the Lahore, and in Karachi or in big cities. They have a lot of huge traffic, and the population are getting respiratory diseases and different type of lungs issues. So it was quite uh, difficult to understand the problem from where we have having more 2.5 data sets, so which causes the lungs cancer, and different type of patients were affected. So we collected this data from the hospitals, the number of patients, and we mapped those patients data on the real-time locations, on their actual location. And then similarly, we extracted different type of satellites data, which was freely available, especially for PM 2.5 and NO2. And we extracted historical data for multiple years to just get the hotspot and main area which is being affected for this specific type of problem. So we also integrated the meteorological parameter data for predicting this data set, and we applied again the machine learning algorithm for getting the best result based on this data set. And we plotted all the data of the patients and the other data set, and we got the outcomes, which regions have more specific disease or issues with this data set. And another, again, challenge was to extract information using natural language processing through different sources. So, in underdeveloping countries, sometimes you have different type of phenomena, but it's not being recorded. So, recording or maintaining information is a huge challenge. So, you don't have much data available in for different type of patterns. Even it's the hospital data, it's being recorded manually, or maybe sometime they do not keep information. And similarly, if you have some specific crimes, it's not being reported or being not managed, only it remains in some newspaper. So we selected some news articles, and using natural language processing, and especially in our own language, Urdu, it was difficult to extract information. For English language, it's quite easy to extract and filter information and make the corpus. But for Urdu language, it was a difficult challenge. So and even sometime you use the Roman language. So maybe you are familiar about the Roman language or not. You just write in English, but it's giving you the information in your own language. So we use some same word, and even some texting messages, or even some posting on Facebook or Twitter, we use our own language, but it's just shown like English, but that actually text is in our own language. So that was the challenging to make the corpus and understanding the meaning. So we extract different type of news articles, and we collected all this data, and this was also published in one applied sciences research article. And like you can see, extract news from archive data using data miner tool. Example, 2 killed in murder in Mughalpura, Lahore. So from here we can extract the information. Mughalpura is the location, right? So we extracted the Mughalpura latitude and longitude, so where this murder happened or occurred, right? And then the 2 killed, 2 is the quantity, and the kill is the type of the crime, right? And similarly, 2 killed or murder in Mughalpura, so we extracted different type of information. And you can see this table. We try to extract this information from the textual into tabular format. So like you can see the crime type, number of records, and precision and recall. So try to achieve its accuracy. So like robbery, 320 records happened, accident, this much happened. And then we plot this data based on the geocoding method, georeferencing method. So we converted this textual information into latitude and longitude, so that we can exactly map where this crime happened. For example, if you see the type of suicide and the robbery or kidnapping or the arrest or accident, so it gives you the pinpoint location from the news articles. So we maintain and collected this type of data sets. And again, this was, I have already explained the problem statement and then the proposed solutions for this Roman. And this is the overall, the proposed methodology, how we develop, how we extract this tool. And similarly, we made the classification of including the political hate speech. So we, during the elections or during different type of campaign, the people use different type of, so we try to understand, okay, it's a neutral, it's a hate against one political leader, or what type of comment. So this type of data was extracted using the Twitter APIs. So we again populated or extracted this data set, and offensive or medium or what type of this was. And again, we try to apply the hate speech or any offensive comment which was made by any user, and we try to regenerate the tweets on the maps. Okay, what type of comments, which type of comments are being generated from different users from which area. So it gives us another picture. Okay, this specific area, people, community have a very negative, uh, you can say, the comments or impression for this specific political party. So what I mean to say, having a deficiency of resources or without having any proper information on the knowledge data set, we are converting or we are using freely available resources and utilizing them in and transforming that in data set into a useful information. And this was also published in Mathematics Journal, and the detailed information and the full articles, it's open source available, so you can download and check its information. So this was another study. We tried to predict the students' academic performance based on their different type of features and from where they belongs and from where they are coming. For example, students in northern area and the student in southern area. So what type of facilities they have. So we try to map our students' data as per their location, and then try to find what type of facilities they have, whether they have easily access to the parks, to the hospitals, to the market, to the bus stations, or the other students, they do not have the adequate facilities for their education basic needs. So it means they are having a difficult type of challenges for getting education and for having different type of facilities. And then we predicted and we compared this data set with their current students, and this was the students different type of factors which we try to consider. And you can see there were huge factors which we considered for their performance evaluation, and these factors were taken from different education studies like the literature review, which clearly shows these factors contribute a lot in students' academic performance. So based on these academic factors, we again try to plot the information on the location base so that we can have the clear picture which students have the better performance and which have the average performance, and from which district the students are like having a bad performance in their career. So it also gives a good picture. So for especially for the higher administration, we need to be focused on these areas. And this this study was also published in a one reputed impact factor journal. And another study we did to find the career progression. So our graduates from after getting the education, where they move and what is their next target and move. So we try to create the network graph from one point to another point, and then from that point to where they move and for what type of opportunity they use. This also we extracted the LinkedIn data set based on their profile, and then you can see the relationship between components and network using network analysis. So we use GIS network analysis, and we try to extract their progression growth from one point to another point. So you can see that this is the Karachi, and not only the main city, and also from one progression to another progression in terms of field. For example, one having electrical engineering and then switch to computer science, or from one field to another field, so which they moved and from where they moved. So this help us in analyzing their career progression move. And there are many other studies, projects which are being carried out. For example, we have done another study for the tourism purpose. You know, it's a human nature when we visited one place and if we visited again next time, maybe we do not have much attraction and much motivation. For example, if you have been to Sydney Harbor, maybe you went first time, you have you have taken a lot of pictures and you are too much excited. And when you visit next time, maybe you sit back and relaxed. And if you have to go third time, maybe you don't ask them, oh, no need. It's a very simple place. Let's move to somewhere else. So you have less motivation to visit that place. And the second thing, when you like search on the Google or in any the places visit need to visit in Melbourne, it gives you a list of places, number 1, number 2, and the top 5 or 10 things to do in Melbourne. But what we try to do, we try to implement a system in which it gives you a specific information considering the time and day, like temporal and the spatial information. So we try to integrate both information. For example, it's 8 p.m. and you are in, let's see, Melbourne, and you ask to the system what type of places need to visit. So now it will consider the time, right, and the weather, right, all type of information. So it will give or it will suggest to you the specific information. For example, it will not give you the museum information because museum closed at 6 p.m. So it will not appear in your list. So because it's 8 p.m. So what type of places you need to visit at 8 p.m. So contextual, temporal, and the spatial information was kept in implementing this system. So the first one, temporal and spatial information and sentiment analysis for tourist visit. So on the other hand, it keeps your frequency, the temporal or the visit history information. For example, it's your second time. No, it's better you should visit this place because you will have very less you can say impression or feeling to visit this place. So we able to do this type of study like the time and similarly the weekdays or the weekend. So if it's a weekend, so what type of facilities you should visit uh, considering your the location, and it gives and maps. And the social media, Walmart is and see out already the e-commerce. So what type of facilities are there? And then the maize plant disease classification we did, plant health direction, and the hybrid expert system for suggestion publication venue. This was also a very interesting study. Like you have your own abstract and you want to publish somewhere, you put your abstract in the system, it gives you the possible venue publications, venue possibilities. For example, this is the best venue for publication uh, for considering your abstract. So this was also an expert system for suggesting publication venue. And I think this was the another tourist sentimental, like you are standing at some place and you want to post something and you want to visit something. It gives you the picture of that specific area and you must go this side. So again, if I conclude, the present applied research using geospatial data set is quite useful to understand the need of the society. So we are using geospatial technologies in our daily life, but we have never ever maybe thought about applying it. For example, we are using Facebook and we just checked in, right? We are using WhatsApp, we are sharing our location for finding the best route. We are using the Google Maps. But imagine these technologies and the satellite images and the GPS came in 80s, and since then these type of technologies are being used. But the Google Maps came in, I think maybe 1995 something, And after that, it becomes popular, and the Google Maps are using all type of data from the users. It takes, you can mark your locations, you can give the information, you can add the pictures, and on the basis of users data, it's getting all type of features. So the Food Panda, the Uber, and there are many other applications which are using the navigation systems for extracting or for implementing these data sets. But you can develop your own system, and you can get freely available data sets which is available for different type of applications, whether it's agriculture, whether it's town planning, whether it's disease mapping, or any type of, whether it's a cyber crime. So any type of information, you can use this type of data sets. And as I already mentioned, freely available data sets and near real-time holistic approach can be transferred into useful information. So because we are having a deficiency of resources, so we try to generate different type of resources using these freely available data set. Now you can imagine when you have a full access of these data set, so then what type of applications you can develop. So there is a huge opportunities in this way, and digital earth is playing important role in exploring sustainable development goals in agriculture, environment, and other factors associated with the society. So whether you have a food security issues, whether you have environmental issues, whether you have a transportation issues, so it's quite easy to plot these data set and analyze these data set using different type of techniques, and you can map the hotspots and the other areas, and a clear understanding about special factors along with the machine learning techniques can present a hassle-free solution. So now using large language models and using deep learning, so you can develop and simulate many other opportunities with these data set. And now you can imagine these satellites giving us the data from around 500 kilometer or 700 kilometer above the Earth. So these satellites are rotating around the Earth minimum 500 and up to thousands kilometer from this. So a camera installed on these sensors taking the pictures from 500 kilometers and giving you the footprint of the footpath or your rooftop or the other features. And now the scientists are working and analyzing even the crop types. For example, this is this specific type of tree, the vegetation type. For example, this is rice varieties. Now you can see a very small leaf of rice. So they are having the discrimination among the rice type. Either this is basmati, jasmine, or different type of varieties can be discriminated or can be classified using these satellites image. And even some freely satellite images or the hyperspectral images, you can detect this information. And when you talk about the hyperspectral, the Hyperion satellites data would give you 220 bands of data set. So on one side you have three spectral ranges RGB, and on the other side you are having 200 bands data set. So it means you can explore and extract a very detailed information. And these are the few recent publication of our research group. So we are not only focusing on remote sensing GIS, and maybe one is more relevant to you, automated hybrid access control, enabled IoT, in, industrial IoT, network using machine learning and blockchain based scalable domain access control. These are the recent publications published during 2024, and the last one in IEEE Journal of Slated Topics, and it's XNet. It's also extreme exception net for hyperspectral image classification. So we try to save the because we have a lot of issues when there is a multispectral data set. It takes a lot of computation power and need a lot of huge system to process these data sets. So we try to propose this as systems, so where you can have high efficient data set. And we are also organizing international conference on IT and industrial technologies every year. So this year, during 2024 in December 10 to 24, so already the call for paper is over. Now the review process is going on. And but of course, if you would like to participate during December, so we can host you. So any graduate or the postgraduate students would like to visit, so we can complimentary provide the full local support, not the airfare at the moment, but the full local support, including the accommodation and the meal and the local transportation. We can provide you the complimentary registration for this event. So if you are interested to join us. But in future, if any faculty member from the information technology department or from the cybersecurity and the software engineering department, faculty member would like to have a keynote or invited talk in future, so we can also support the airfare as well. So for invited talk, we can give the full funding opportunity to be keynote or invited speaker to this conference. Even you are most welcome if someone interested during the December. For the students, we can provide the full local hospitality, as I already mentioned, including the accommodation and the pick up and drop from the airport and your full-time meals and the layer trip to different areas of Pakistan, what we said, the post-conference tour. So this can be free for the Monash University students of IT and technology. So that's all. And once again, I am really thankful to the Department of Software Systems and Cybersecurity at Faculty of Information Technology. And it's really honor for me to tell about regarding our research group and about my university, and especially the conference, which is being sponsored by IEEE, and it will be the third series, and the next series will be in 2025, and I will share the call for paper details with the Dr. Isma so that it can be circulated with you people. So that's all, and my contact information, the email is giving, and the social media app. I have deactivated my WhatsApp group and I'm using the WeChat. Maybe you are familiar with the WeChat. So I'm using this because I feel it more secure and more friendly because and WhatsApp is very open and anyone can disturb you anytime. But in WeChat, you have a limited access. So I'm using this one. But I oftenly and regularly check my all emails and try my best to respond timely. So thank you very much. And if you have any questions regarding the presentation or my university or about the conference, you are most welcome. Thank you very much.
Any questions? Yes.
First of all, thank you very much for your very interesting talk. I can see that you have worked in a lot of very interesting research directions and explored many important problems. I have a couple of questions. The first one is about the dengue prediction, also similar for weed prediction. So how do you get the ground truth data to verify the accuracy?
Okay, so we have done two type of studies because there is a different myth about the dengue. One is based on the patient data set, right? So we get the data from PITB, Punjab Information Technology Board. It like especially the dengue wave in Punjab, maybe 2011 or 10, there was a huge spread in Lahore, Punjab and different region, and we have a huge cases. So all patients' data were monitored and recorded in that system. So we obtained that data, and on the basis of that data, we extracted all other data you can say the independent data set like the weather, temperature, rainfall, humidity, and the housing patterns and the water conditions, and then we correlate data set for predicting the outbreak data set. So one strategy was taken this one. But on the other hand, like my professor, he was against this rule. So because when I was doing my PhD 12 years ago, and I was working on the similar topic, so he was against this myth. He said the dengue is not only depending upon the case. Because, for example, if we have one case of dengue patient, maybe it has a huge outbreak in that region. For example, in case if I have a dengue and the mosquito bite, because it does not spread like person to person without the human without human blood. For example, if the mosquito come, it take the blood, the mosquito get infected, the first mosquito has to be infected, right? Then when it bite to other person, that infected mosquito will have carried that virus, it goes to another person, then other mosquito come, then it spread all. I hope you got my point. But he said, I think the more important is the breeding habitat. That is the initial stage. So because this there is a specific type of mosquito for malaria and the dengue. For malaria, there are two type of mosquito. One is Aedes aegypti and the other is Aedes albopictus. So these are two specific types of mosquito which can carry this disease. So he said, we need to understand where they grow up, where they breed, where they lay eggs, so that we should try to predict that environment, and before it goes spread, it bites someone, we should destroy that habitat, right? So that was the other understanding. So keeping in view what we did, we done both studies with the patient data set, with the environmental factors, and try to extract the possible habitats. Then we try to understand, okay, where these mosquitoes favorable breeding habitats for this specific mosquito. For example, stagnant water. So this dengue mosquito does not breed in dirty water or in the running water. So it breeds only in the stagnant water. So we try to extract those features from the satellite. Okay, so after laying eggs, where they go for bloods? Okay, they normally travel towards human. Where are the human settlement near that stagnant water? Okay, so we try to identify that houses. Okay, what type of else vegetation from there? Sometimes they try to extract some sweet when they don't find any human for survival. They took some sweet from the some specific plants for specific flowers. So we try to identify those specific plants. So on other study, we try to detect those, and then we try to rate them. For example, okay, first parameter want met, like the ranking, the priority, stagnant water, housing pattern. This we give that the more risk area. So if there will be any mosquito, it is more risky area for spread. If there is only one parameter, less risky. If there is no that parameter, that area is safe. If two parameter, maybe moderate. So we try to develop similar type of things. Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for your interesting talk. So one question that I have was regarding the deployment of the solutions that you mentioned. Yeah, you have worked on. So you have worked with many sensors. Okay. And first of all, do you have you used any specific platform to manage the data coming from sensors? That's one question that I have. The second one is you have used in one of the works that you have and the papers that you showed us, you have used, let's say, different machine learning techniques. Okay. Also, for those kind of machine learning techniques, is there any, again, let's say, big data processing platforms that you have used, or no, you come up with your own solution or platform? Thank you.
So in terms of sensors, basically, we always used satellites data set. We did not deploy any specific sensor like IoT. You mean maybe the IoT sensors? So you deployed some sensor, you observed the phenomena, and then you recorded that one. But we did not do that. We actually directly extracted the satellites data. So there are different portal. Maybe you can search on the NASA satellites open data portals, and there are different. Earth Explorer is another portal. So you just log in, it's freely available. And after Earth Explorer, when you have the registration, it's free of cost registration, and you get the login, and you just like will have similar like the Google Maps. So you just find out your area, like you mentioned the Melbourne or the Monash University, it will come down, and then you select the sensor type. For example, Landsat, Sentinel-2. So you must have the information about these satellites and their resolution and their spectral band information. So after understanding about those sensors, you just tick those and then do specific in there, and then there will be option download data set. So your images will be downloaded. For weather forecasting, it's almost real, but near real time. That's why I use the word near real time. But the satellites are getting data set real time, and but some sensors are like after pre-processing, because this data comes sometimes in raw format, sometime in different projection system. So after pre-processing, they published it regularly. But sometime it gets some delay, maybe 3 hours, 6 hours, and sometime maybe weeks a day. But in case of some disasters, for example, the earthquake occurred or the floods came or the tsunami came, and now you have to develop a very efficient and quick. These type of organizations publicly make available data for that specific region. For example, you are working in a Philippine region, or you are working in some Japan or nearby, or their disaster came, or in Turkey. So there suddenly some disaster came. These type of agencies will make their data publicly available, even that the commercial data set will be available to help society to achieve some sustainability. And on the other hand, like we use our own GPUs and our own systems for machine learning algorithms for processing purposes. So of course, we use sometime Colab and sometime the cloud-based services where we need it, but not the paid one. Mostly we use our own GPUs for processing these systems. Yes, please.
Yes, my question is for the hate speech and is it crimes that you mapped onto the map? Like, what was the motivation when you got that map? Like, especially the crime scene, doesn't the security agencies have it, or were you just augmenting them? Like, what did you use with it? Because from the presentation, I just understood that you mapped it. Like, you knew the areas where maybe this area has hate speech regarding that politician or something like that. What did you use it for? And do the security agencies or the government, does the government have such type of data?
So basically, the main purpose was, to be honest, the main purpose was how we can generate information when we don't have anything, right? So because we do not have any data set, because we cannot get any data set from some government agencies from somewhere, so we try to implement the novel techniques, or you can say the automated methods, how we can collect or integrate or extract this data through different sources. So this was the like the challenge. So to develop algorithms, so automated techniques which extract efficient data set for public awareness. So this was the main motivation, right? Because you don't have any set. So like you does not know this English and you want to translate in Arabic or in your local language. So just pick it and translate it. So you have the information data set. So similarly, the main objective was when you don't have anything, you don't have the understanding where the data is, because the data is in multiple news articles, maybe 4 or 5 different articles, and you cannot collect and you cannot make the archive, you cannot have the historical data sets. Maybe you just listen or read the news article, it's destroyed. Next day you read another, so you cannot recall where such type of crimes happen in the history. So you have historical news articles, maybe 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years. From those 2 years data, you have developed your own algorithm. You give the news article link, it extracts the all information from the crime and it tabulates for you. Got the point? So yeah, yeah. So we populated that data set. And then next, what we did, we plot this data set so that we can extract the hotspot for specific crime, so that this data can be utilized for the relevant agencies if they want to use it. Okay, so this type of crime is happening at this location or this urban area. So it means, for example, there is a case of robbery happening in some specific area. So it means the government agencies need to take precautionary measures in that area, or maybe need to deploy some person, police officer, or any other CCTV cameras or whatever you feel, so that this specific type of area has need to be more care by the government agency. So in future, such type of analysis can be made. Or sometime, when the road is being constructed or some specific, so there are a lot of accident in specific point. Maybe it's due to invisibility from one side. So if you install or do some precautionary measures, it becomes quite easily. So this was the objective to provide this information from the relevant agencies. It can be the government agencies, it can be the police stations, or it can be the for the public, for general awareness. Be careful when you visit this area. So it can be helpful to anyone else. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.